From Studio A at 1 Biloxi Square in Fort Worth, Texas, this is the Grandpa and Pappy Show.
Yep.
Yes, indeed it is. And we welcome you into the Grandpa and Pappy Show for another edition. It's the weather's kind of crazy. One day it's 70 degrees, Pappy. The next day it's 40. You know, you never know. That's a great thing about living in Texas. You never know how you're going to have to dress. We see the change of seasons in one day.
In 15 minutes.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it, but...
well, that's the old adage. If you don't like the weather in Texas, stick around 15 minutes and it'll change.
It'll change, and by gosh, they got something to that. I'm telling you.
Got my vote.
It's really good to have all of you with us today, as you saw in our opening segment here. Our little studio mascot, Miss Dolly, passed away last week, and we certainly miss her here because she liked to make cameo appearances on the Grandpa and Pappy Show, and we will miss her.
I miss her dearly already. I mean, it's we had a special thing when I'd come into the studio. Ring the bell, you'd always see that big white nose sticking out.
She couldn't wait to see.
Yeah,
couldn't wait to see Pap.
Rest in peace, Dolly.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of things are going on in the land of the free. In the world right now, the gas prices have just gone absolutely crazy.
Preaching to the choir, man.
Yeah, you got a diesel. So I can imagine how that hurts.
Not for very long.
I heard that. I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there and gals who have diesels that are thinking about that. And, you know, we talked about the rising gas prices on our last show, and we had such an outpouring of opinions.
Yep.
We decided that we would include a few more of them here on our show in our opening segment because a lot of them had some great points to make as far as high gas prices are concerned.
Yeah.
So, pardon me. Let's get right to it because I'm telling you, you know, our president has cut off the Russian oil imports, which he should have a long time ago. But he has yet to turn our oil and gas industry loose and take all the restrictions off of them because we could become energy independent in 6 months.
Well, my humble opinion, it should have never happened. We should have never been dependent on foreign oil.
I couldn't agree more.
All that crap started, with Venezuela back a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Same crap. Well, to be selling our oil to them. So.
Well, that's true. Well, let's take a look at some of the things that we decided to include in this week's show that we could not get into last week's show. The whole 30 minutes was dedicated to it, and we still had people sending things in. Pappy, let's get right to work.
That's because they rock.
That's right. Jerry Williamson spurred a lively debate when he said, how about opening up the Keystone XL pipeline, which would have brought us 800,000 barrels a day from our northern neighbors and not shipping it overseas, but use it for domestic purposes instead of buying 525,000 barrels a day from Russia. Also, open up federal lands for drilling, take away the restrictions such as methane recapture for drilling, and open up the Gulf leases. That would be a really good start.
You know, that's a good point, Jerry. And something else, and I've heard this, but nobody's talking about it, that we're getting Canadian oil as well?
I do not know if we're getting Canadian oil. I can't answer that one. I know
might be something we need to look
our illustrious Walter up in the
Walter
in the Oval Office.
Our favorite banjo player.
Well, Jeff Dunham's favorite puppet. Anyway, he Walter, I got sorry guys.
You have to think about that all day.
I will be thinking about that all day.
Oh Lordy.
But he has started negotiating with Iran of all countries.
Yeah.
Iran, one of our biggest enemies that wants to destroy our country and makes no beans about it.
Yep.
He wants to get back in with an Iran nuclear deal in exchange for oil. Now, how stupid is this? Is this thought? It's crazy.
That makes 0 sense.
Absolutely no sense.
0 cents. John Bossy answered Jerry by saying, one has to wonder what the payoff was to the Biden family to kill Keystone and buy Russian oil.
Amen.
Albert Rainey agreed by saying if Biden's son and family are receiving millions of dollars from Russia, Ukraine, and more countries, then they are not going to stop their very own cash cow.
Well, you got that right.
Well, you know,
Hey.
even the price of cocaine's gone sky high, so he's got to do something, you know.
And again, I really want to compliment you guys because we've had several debates here lately based on what somebody said, and someone had another opinion, and it's been very respectful, and we appreciate that. Like Randall Gates also told John Bossy it was to punish the American people. The globalists, like the Bidens, believe we have life too good and want us to suffer and then swoop to give us a living stipend.
Daddy, what does stipend mean?
Yeah.
It's a stipend.
It's a what?
Stipend, yes.
Oh, stipend. Okay.
You will own nothing and be happy. John then answered Randall by saying, hopefully we can take them out of office before they completely destroy our country.
All we need is one election, and that's going to happen.
It's going to happen, that's for sure.
Yep. Sherry West said, all these things being said are absolutely true. All the experts are begging Biden to open up the oil and gas industry to eliminate any need for foreign oil. Yet he continues to ignore all the advice and common sense being given. Shutting off Russian oil will kill the funding of the war on Ukraine, but he won't do it.
Well, actually, he did, Sherry, day before yesterday. And, of course, we write our scripts in advance. But this one, I will say, he did shut this off day before yesterday. So,
What are you going to do now?
well, Raj Nadkarni, I'm sorry, Raj, forgive me, down in the Austin area, told us the Keystone XL pipeline is on aspect. However, market forces in an open economy would have begun more drilling in both the public and private lands, and not just Texas, but all of the United States.
Yeah.
Now, however, the federal government has added strategies to reduce the workforce by paying individuals as a welfare state. And you know, that's true.
It is true.
And there's still a lot of people not working because they can get a pretty good paycheck.
Get that free money.
Anyway, paying individuals as a welfare state with the pretense of caring for people during a global pandemic. With no workers or policies to shut down drilling, oil and gas demand has increased to more than $100 per barrel. FYI, for the most part in the United States, it costs around $40 to $60 to produce a barrel of oil. So at $100, it's an easy, profitable venture. We don't have the infrastructure in the United States to sustain a green economy for the near future. It is time we understood that. I hope in time that the infrastructure increases hundreds of times, but until then, we need to have policies that balance an energy, workforce, and sustainable trade.
Jesus Christ, Raj.
Well, he's an engineer.
Petroleum engineer.
Yeah. He told me a lot of things I didn't think about. But
He would probably know a little something
Raj,
about it, huh?
you're the man, brother.
That's very profound, Raj. Thanks for sending that in.
But that's the problem.
Hold it. Let's get your mic on here.
That's the problem. They're not doing anything to lower the prices, so they're squeezing the American people to force them to become green.
Right.
And it can't happen overnight. It won't
cannot.
happen overnight.
Well-
because the idiots still have to know it takes gas and oil to do the power plants that sends electricity to those stupid freaking electric cars.
That's a fact.
I mean, how idiot.
And that's what it's all about.
I am an idiot, and I know nothing about any of this, but even I get that part of it.
Well, you're not AOC, that's for damn sure. That girl, I swear, she's dumber than a box of rocks, and all of them are missing but a pebble. You know.
Like a dirt clod in the middle of a dirt road, huh? Our buddies Matt Bannister and Sabrina Monk Drabing both stated the obvious. Reopen drilling here and open the pipeline. That's pretty simply said, and
it's true.
it is. Andy Mosier said, we will never see the light of day as long as Biden's puppet strings are being controlled by radical left-wingers occupying the White House and Congress. Our president would rather vacation in Delaware than address all the problems facing us today.
That's true. That man, he goes to Delaware every weekend. I mean, he takes more vacation time than the CEO of
And they bitched about
vacation
Trump
time.
playing a game of golf from time to time. You know?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
He just goes out and plays his putter, you know. So that's all I say about that.
The only thing he knows how to find is his putter.
At his age, he may not be able to find that.
Make his putter flutter.
Anyway, we thank you very much. There were some really good comments that we wanted to
They are.
include in this week's show because, golly, Pappy, the gas prices just keep rising and rising and rising, and the average American.
Killing me.
Now, let me ask you a hypothetical situation. Well, it may not be so hypothetical now. When is it going to get to the point where Americans can't afford to put gas in their cars to go to work?
Well, and that happened, what, back in the 80s?
Late
Or was it
70s.
70s?
Late 70s, yeah,
And
with Jimmy Carter.
something's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
Just like it did back then, you know. I mean, somebody's going to have to, all you silent majority people, better start speaking up.
Absolutely. But thank you very much for the extra opinions we got on that subject.
Yeah. You guys are awesome.
They sure are. When we come back, we're going to talk about, is the COVID pandemic over?
Did it ever start?
Fodder. I like it.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll talk about that and more when the Grandpa and Pappy show continues right after this.
I know this guy. I've talked to him on the phone. He knows his stuff. I know this guy.
We are back on the Grandpa and Pappy show, and we appreciate you being with us so very much.
Yep.
So far, we've talked about more on the responses that you sent out on the high gas prices.
One of many problems.
But now let's talk about another thing that, you know, surprisingly, Pappy, this conversation about COVID has mysteriously disappeared from the news. They don't talk about it anymore.
Well, now they're talking about missiles now. So what
Well,
type
that's-
of bombs Russia's using and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But is the COVID pandemic really over? You guys had some really good comments on it, so let's get to it and
A very
share it
debatable
with you.
subject, yeah.
Person near and dear to our heart, Cassie Terry, south of Houston, told us COVID itself will most likely never be over. It will be around just like the flu. Bingo.
Yep.
It will keep mutating. The fear will fade and acceptance will grow over time. We just need Big Pharma and the media to back off. Cindy Gail Roberts Thomas told Cassie, I agree with you 100%.
Well, and as far as what you're saying, I agree with you too, Cass, but Marco pops his word. When something bigger and stronger comes out, you'll never hear about the COVID again.
No.
Kind of like the flu,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it killed 60,000 people. Guess what? COVID's going to kill more than that.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm still unvaxxed, and I feel about as good as I've ever felt recently. Oh, okay. Must be mine.
it is.
Michael West said, I don't think it was ever as bad as we were led to believe. And I agree with you, Michael. Recent releases from the CDC have contradicted themselves on all the information they released when COVID was discovered. Well, actually, since it was discovered. It seems that now actual deaths from the virus are not nearly as bad as had been reported over the last 2 years. Go figure that out. Maybe the truth is close to coming out, and they're trying to cover their ass.
That's putting it like it is, Michael.
I like the way you think, Michael,
I do too.
because I feel exactly the same damn way.
Our listener up in New York State, Holly Hollenbeck, who is a traveling COVID nurse, told us our PCA unit has 0 COVID patients.
Go figure.
Matt Bannister said it was merely the only thing that they had to talk about. Now they have something more tragic to talk about.
Yeah.
Susan Saunders says, well, this COVID is ruining my trip to New Orleans.
Oh, hell no, Susan. You go on to New
You
Orleans.
go, Susan.
They've been waiting on you for a long time.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I agree.
And New Orleans will never be the same when
That's
she
right.
leaves.
It's already crazy.
Watch your drinks.
Yeah. Look out for them roofies. They're about to let Bill
Oh,
Cosby
my
out
God,
of jail.
I
By
am.
God.
I am.
You know, and I agree wholeheartedly with Holly. I mean, she would know because she is a traveling COVID nurse.
She is.
We've got another one that does the exact same thing living right across the street that I was talking to yesterday evening.
Yeah.
She said, I said, you sure are home a lot. She said, well, they're sending me up north. I said, why? She said, nobody to treat.
Ah, gotcha.
And I
Hey.
just kind of looked at her.
What?
I just want to put a shout out to Holly. They ran into some major issues that lost electricity due to a bad winter storm. They are dairy farmers, and they didn't have electricity for
Milking.
a couple of days to milk their cows.
Uh-oh.
But today they finally got electricity, and the girls, she says the girls are now happy.
I bet they are.
They are.
Holly, we're thinking about you, honey. We
As long
surely
as they can
are.
get their tits squeezed, they're happy. I didn't say it. Did I say that?
You did.
Thomas Redmond said COVID was one of the biggest BS things ever to be forced on the American people.
Here, here.
Now, it was funny last year that there were no stats given on how many died from the flu or actual pneumonia. Everything was related to COVID. You know, you get
Yeah.
killed in a car wreck or fall off the top of your house.
Or die of cancer. You know.
COVID. Hospitals were paid exorbitant amounts if they listed treating a patient with COVID who passed away from it. How many did actually test positive for it, but actually died from other diseases or sickness, but were listed as dying from COVID? Some big paydays for hospitals, I say.
Yes.
They've always,
And that's a fact.
they've always been big
Yeah.
paid, you know, at our expense.
Yeah,
taxpayers.
I will not tell you where I heard this because it may get her in trouble, but she was working the emergency room one night at one of our hospitals here, and a gentleman came in that had been in a motorcycle accident
Yeah, I remember that.
and was, I mean, just barely alive. They were fighting to keep him alive. And of course, the protocol then was everybody that comes in gets tested for COVID,
Oh, yeah.
and he tested positive for COVID and died. So they listed his death as from COVID.
Yeah. A lot of that going on.
$15,000 that they get for treating a COVID patient.
I thought it was more than that.
Well, I've heard different amounts, but
I thought it was like 28 or 30 grand, something like that. In addition to the usual.
well, I think
expense
you
of
may
being
be right because
hospitalized,
I've
so-
heard it as if they tested positive and were being treated, it's 15,000. If they died,
And get toe tagged
Yeah.
from being from COVID, they get to ring the bell on all
yes,
that. So,
absolutely.
ding, 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 ding.
But boy, that's putting it like it is, Thomas. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it is.
Joe Mosier says it will not be over till we get rid of all of the Democrats in office. Penny Steele says, I think COVID was a way to keep our minds on other things, and now here we are at war's door. Rich Manning said, now there is a damn true statement.
And you know what, Penny? I've known Penny for quite a while. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it, and I remember back when all this pandemic crap first started, amigo, that my set opinion, this is an agenda. Something else is going on.
I'll give you that. Yeah, you've said that from the beginning.
It's been in my gut the whole time. I mean, not to say that it's not a real virus or whatever in the hell.
Oh, no. I believe it's real.
and-
I do.
And if I ever came down with it and was hospitalized, I'd probably change my opinion somewhat. But it's not as bad as they claim it is.
Well, I know my brother, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I got this in my throat and I can't get it out.
It's okay, Froggy.
Yes. But my brother had COVID and it was it was a very difficult time because he has some conditions left over from the Vietnam War era.
Wow, that's
And his body is not as strong as it was. And he fought it, but they gave him what they called Trump juice.
Trump juice.
What they gave-
I remember they got me some
What-
Trump juice.
Yeah. And it's the stuff they treated President Trump with, and he was over his in 2 days. You know, President Trump back to work. So they started giving my brother the Trump juice. They were supposed to give him 5 doses, but after 3, he was feeling a lot better. So he went ahead and let him give him the 4th one, and he went home.
He said, "Damn all this! I'm going to the house."
Yeah. If you know my brother, he's pretty hard-headed.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Probably takes after his younger brother.
Keeps little brother out of trouble.
Yeah, he does. Glad you're doing better, Archie, up there.
Absolutely.
Come see us, buddy. Mm-hmm. Skip Starkey said the crap never existed in the first place. Thomas Eisenberg up in the Victoria area said, not sure about that. Have you checked with Snopes? Brian Emerton, our buddy, our guitar picking buddy who plays our closing credit music from Tennessee, says that for the moment it's gone, but as soon as the war is over, it's sure to make a comeback.
And he probably got a good idea
You're
there.
probably right, Brian.
And finally, Jerry Blum told us, you won't have to worry about that. The world will be over if Putin isn't taken out. Sherry Thompson said, you might be right about that, but I have had my suspicions about COVID all along.
Yeah.
I have known senior citizens that tested positive for COVID. They got well taking standard cold and flu medications. I've also known some who have actually died from it, but the overwhelming amount survived after a few days. It was just part of a big plan to get us in to follow along like little sheep. Daddy. Speaking of which, Jerry Jones.
Boy, he looks like Father Time. I saw him on the news this morning.
Yeah, Jerry Jones being sued by a young lady who claims to be his daughter.
I might claim to be his son.
Well, give me a couple million, hell.
I'll be good to go. By the way, you heard Biden was hospitalized
Oh, yeah?
over a gastric problem.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't stop Putin.
I got that.
She gets it this
Yeah,
time.
Karen actually got that one. I like that. But, is the COVID pandemic over? Thank you very much for
Yeah.
that. And our third segment deals with the CDC lifting all of the mask mandates.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw on the news this
Were
morning
you in favor of it?
where a black gentleman went into a bank. You guys might have seen this on Fox. Goes into a bank and he's wanting to withdraw a rather large amount of money. It's like $12,000 or $1,200, whatever it was, whatever he had. And he was wearing a hoodie with a mask and sunshades. Hands the teller a note saying that I would like to withdraw this from my checking account, but please be discreet. And that's all the note said. Well, she hits the panic button. Here comes the cops and cuffs him, and they're trying to charge that man for trying to rob a bank.
No sense of humor anymore. I'm
That's
telling you.
That's what a mask will get you.
Well,
in this
should
world
should the
today.
CDC lift the mask mandates? Bob Baker was in favor of it. The mask mandate has been nothing more than a security blanket. It has served no real purpose. Johnny Ray Myers agreed, saying the mask has not proven anything to avoid spreading the disease, but it sure hurt being able to order at the drive-thru. That's true.
Look at Emmett and Linda,
Yeah,
our buddies. You know who I'm
yeah,
talking about.
I do.
Dear friends, they're a little older than we are. They're a golden years couple. Beautiful people. Just one of the funniest guys I ever met in my
Oh
life.
yeah.
When all this broke out, he goes up to the CVS drive-thru to get his free test, and he said he was there for about an hour and a few minutes or so, and said, "To hell with this, we're leaving."
Went home.
And they left. 3 days later, got a letter in the mail saying they both tested positive for COVID.
Well, there you go.
He had plenty to say about that. Our buddy Texas Radio Hall of Famer Hoss Huggins up in Tyler told us, I don't know about that, but is anyone else having trouble keeping that CBD oil lit? I'm not, Hoss. Michael Greer told Hoss, damn, I thought I was the only one having problems.
Stephen W. Crenshaw said that we should lift all mandates everywhere.
Yep.
Matt Bannister said, yes, lift the mandates because of freedom. And Penny Steele said, yes, I do agree to lift them all. Allison Toomey said, I laughed about the drive-through reference because that's so true.
Ain't it so? And south of Houston, one of my favorite people, my sweet little daughter-in-law, Cassie, told us I stopped listening and caring in 2020 what the CDC said. Sorry, but not sorry. I didn't even know the mask mandates were still a thing. Mark Liddy says, I feel about the same way. What good are masks going to do? You'll either catch it or not. But in the meantime, we all had to change the way we live our lives, having to wear those damn things.
Well, we're going to read two more because of time constraints, and we'll pick it up later on. Marianne McGuire said it's about time. When we learned that our children didn't have to wear masks in school, they were so happy. I think all of that time they were required to wear them in the classrooms severely hurt their social development. My kids are in the 2nd and 4th grades, but imagining what kindergarten kids did to their social skills by having to wear them. Yeah. It's been a big social experiment of the world's leaders to see if they could control us. Thank you for letting me vent. You're welcome.
Thank you for being Mary. And to close out segment 3 on this show this week, Sean Wilson told Marianne Aguirre that she should be a child psychiatrist because you were spot on, girl. I also noticed a change in my children during the times that they were forced to wear a mask. The other thing that hurt them was the virtual learning, and that's a biggie in my book.
It is.
They did not retain a lot of information like they did when they were actually in the classroom. We will not know the extent of mental shortcomings, for a time, but I know they will be there. My wife did a lot of extra teaching at home, but I realized that working parents had a terrific problem doing that with their kids.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's a fact. Ask any teacher their opinion of virtual learning, and you'll see who the good teachers are.
That's exactly right. Let's take a look at some of the viewer comments we got in right quickly.
Okay.
Michelle Ray said she watched our show on which veteran affected our lives, and I must give you the name of my father, Arthur Ray. He was a Vietnam War veteran, and he taught us all so much about life and what to expect. He was a great man in my eyes.
God rest his soul.
Absolutely.
And thank you for your service up there, Arthur Ray. In fact, that was my older brother's first and middle name. Cheryl Wallace says, the show we did on the fate of January 6th arrested people was so spot on. Why are they having to wait so long to be tried and having to stay in filthy jail cells? Maybe we need to lock some politicians up in the same cells and see how quickly things would change.
That's a damn
probably
true.
Overnight, I imagine.
Yeah, Taylor Kenzie said on YouTube that the Hollywood stars need to shut up and quit mouthing their leftist opinions.
Yep.
Isn't it funny that if actors on the right voice theirs, they're blackballed? Where's the fairness or justice in that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And look who we heard from. Big Al Baker, by God, out in East Texas, told us on Instagram that I'm still here, guys, alive and kicking in East Texas. Hope you guys are well. I haven't been able to watch many shows as of late, but the ones I saw were pretty good. Keep up the good work, guys, because we need some straight talk and a chance to voice our opinions.
Thank you, Big Al. Appreciate
you, brother.
you.
Stay in touch with us. That's exactly what our show is premised on.
Absolutely.
It's your opinion. It's your show. We just voice it. Okay?
If you have an opinion or if you have a suggestion for a show, it's very easy to do. Right quickly, if you'll notice over my shoulder,
Tell 'em.
just send it to grandpa and pappy at gmail.com.
That's a good way.
Or
you can simply hit us up directly on our show website page at www.grandpaandthelletterinpappy.com. That's grandpainpappy.com, where you'll see that big old red button. Push it. It won't cost you a bent penny.
Mm-hmm.
It's all free. While you're there, you can voice your opinions, give us show topics on Twitter, Instagram, and it'll take you directly to our Facebook page where a lot of things are kind of unedited. But
Yeah.
that's
Our
good too.
Facebook group page.
Yeah.
But anyway, we appreciate it very much. Right
We
quickly, hello to everyone in Emory, Texas, family and friends down there. Spread the word for us, guys. Appreciate it.
go.
As we always end every show, we tell you to reach out and hug your kids and let them know you love them because right now you need to.
And let them know they're well loved right here at the Grandpa and Pappy Show too. By God.
By God.
There you go. Take
Absolutely.
care of one another. We're all we got left here.
That's
guys.
right. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. I'm telling you
That's
that.
right.
Until we see you guys again, God bless you. God bless our great country, the United States of America. Take care. Be safe. And we'll see you soon.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.